First of all, I'm just going to take a minute to present Dimension data. What do? We are a provider of services and solutions which helped customers in their process of digital transformation. Now, many of you are thinking, gosh, she seems like she comes from the marketing department, and what is she talking about IT when we're here in an industrial conference? But just indulge me for a moment. Let me explain to you what we do with just one very illustrative example. Now, I'm sure some of you know that here we have a cycling team. You might have actually gone past our stand outside and you've seen a Cervelo bicycle. It's not just that we have our own cycle team, we are also the sponsor of ASO, which is the company which organizes the Tour de France, the 6 days in London, and the Spanish cycling tour as well. Now, what do we do in the Tour de France? Do you remember this blackboard? Here we can see the blackboard used by Miguel Indurain, but it wasn't the one used in the last 3 Tours de France. Why not? Well, because in Dimension data we have enabled the digital transformation of the Tour de France. We have completely transformed our experience as spectators, but I'd also say that the experience of the cyclists and the directors of the sporting teams, their experience has changed as well. And how do we do that? Well, I'll show you now.
Es decir, ¿qué es lo que hemos hecho? Hemos
conectado
las bicicletas.
Hemos
conectado las bicicletas con este dispositivo.
Using this device here.
Un GPS tracker
que
ponemos
GPS tracker
debajo del sillín
which
del
is placed
ciclista.
just under the saddle.
Cual, en tiempo real estamos
So in real time, we can geoposition, geolocate the 198 cyclists in the Tour de France. We get all of this information and we take it to the big data track, which is a data center on wheels, which we park at the finishing line of each of the different stages. And there we carry out a pre-processing of the information. This information is sent up to the cloud, where we have applications and big data solutions which will enable us to, in real time, push out a huge amount of information to radio, television, different data providers and the teams themselves. What type of information do we push out? Well, mean speeds, the composition of the groups, the distance between groups. This technological solution has also been deployed in the 6 days in London, and there we've been monitoring heart rate and pedaling speed as well. So the difference here between the two is that the 6 days in London is an indoor event, so it's all using wireless technology there rather than GPS. Now, sometimes some of you might have thought, hey, hang on, maybe she's in the wrong place because this isn't the presentation of the Tour de France. We're in Basque Industry 4.0 here. What's she talking about? Well, if we substitute bicycles for a car on a car production line, or a box in a logistics center, or a remote meter. So, in fact, we've been installing these types of devices in our houses, and we can think of them as bicycles, and we can collect them up either wirelessly or with wires. If we're using wireless technology, we can use a whole different range of different protocols, GPS, Bluetooth, wireless, etc. There are even devices that we can use the RJ42 connector as well if we're using a wire. And just as with the case of the bicycles, if we're able to connect up these things, then we can get information. So let's go back to the example from the automotive industry. We have a car on a production line in the final assembly premises. Now here they go through a process of validation, each vehicle. Now these vehicles might have very small manufacturing defects, and it's in this case that these cars go to certain boxes where these problems and these manufacturing defects are solved. If we are able to know exactly what is the exact position of a vehicle in the final assembly plant, then we will automatically know how many cars have actually had a manufacturing defect, what sort of manufacturing defect they have, because depending on the defect they go to one box or another, and how long we have taken to actually resolve these manufacturing defects. And with all of this information in real time, we can make decisions, business decisions, that are very important. So, for example, we might have to change some processes in our production line earlier up, further upstream, and this will enable us to save costs. So in other words, regardless of whether we have a bicycle or a vehicle or a box or a remote meter, what we have done is deploy an IT solution which connects things, devices, up and sensors which gather information, process that information, analyze that information, and enables us to make business decisions. According to Ghana, this is defined as an Internet of Things solution. It's true that in more industrial environments, we're talking about the industrial Internet of Things. Otherwise, it's OT as well, because they're talking about operating technologies. Now, in Dimension data, how do we go about carrying out a project of this type? Well, we have to take any device and make it connected, and we can do it by cable or wireless. What we're saying to our customers is that once they have connected a device or a sensor thanks to us, immediately they just want to start connecting more things, which is always what happens, which generates a huge quantity of data. We have to store that data, we have to process that data, we have to clean it up. We just have to work out which bits of them are useful, and we have to put them in the same format. Once all the data have been turned into the same format, then we can actually send them out to any different business platforms or formats so that the people can actually make the right decisions. We also need orchestration and management tools for these platforms of these different devices and that we have connected up to each other. So we're going to have a huge amount of data that we will have to store. Now here, a little bit of publicity. What better place to store all of this data than the Dimension data and NTT Cloud? Because Dimension Cloud belongs to NTT, and just 2 weeks ago we have announced our merger, and we're going to be offering a single cloud solution to the market. What's the competitive advantage of our cloud services? We're a public cloud service provider and a private cloud service provider as well. And with our orchestration tool, Cloud Powerhouse, we can orchestrate or provide or manage both clouds. So we can offer a hybrid cloud solution. Storing data in the cloud has another series of advantages. For example, if at any point in time there's an explosion of data, we can take the data in the private cloud to the public cloud area, like an overspill. We can also have a very high degree of availability and also disaster recovery. And also from the perspective of security, it's very, very important to define security measures which go from one end to the other, which cover both the public and the private parts. Because what happens in these types of environments with security when we have Internet Office solutions? Well, The device, the GPS tracker, needs to be cheap, it needs to be easy to deploy. We also are concerned about their useful life, their battery life, but we often don't even think about security. And when we're looking at these types of solutions, security just isn't a variable that we include in our equation. And this brings about a lot of problems because we have thousands of these devices, we have thousands of sensors, and we have information in the cloud, the public and private cloud. So where do I put the firewalls? Where's the castle I have to build to protect sensitive data? And in fact, there is specific malware which has been designed specifically for this type of environment today, which can turn these types of devices into little zombie armies which can actually carry out attacks on the service and distributed services as well. Now, in the IT environment, we find it difficult often to actually have these passwords with 8 characters and uppercase, lowercase. We don't want to do it in these types of environments. In fact, we don't. And the IT companies, we've been talking a lot about IPv6. Now, this is the perfect environment if we want to avoid all of these problems. But we have to have security policies which is actually able to cope with all of this. So, from Dimension Data, how do we help our customers to build these wall-to-wall and end-to-end security policies? Now, I'm simplifying here, but we're talking about segmentation, visibility and analysis, and remote access. Segment, 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 that's the first thing. Macro-segmentation, micro-segmentation. We have the IEC 62433, which is a standard which will recommend how to make out these different macro segmentations, how we can actually build the frontier between Internet of Things and the industrial Internet of Things. We also have to have access control solutions for the micro segmentation as well. Now, I pass on to visibility and analysis. In order to defend ourselves, we have to know what's happening. And of course, in this type of environment, the uptime is important. But today, we can actually deploy non-intrusive network solutions. So we can actually define the baseline of the behavior of our network, and if suddenly our sensors start to try to connect up to other types of devices or devices which have a bad reputation or send queries to places with a bad reputation, we can detect it immediately and to actually stop the threat. And in these types of environments, there are many different manufacturers of devices which we give them access for maintenance tasks, for example, and we have to continue giving these companies access, but in a very sure and secure way, through encrypting, limiting access to just the systems they have to manage, and also carrying out, keeping a log of who has connected up and why. 3A, accounting, authorization and authentication. And I'm going to give you an example of an industrial company. It's a paper broker in this particular case, who we have helped in their digital transformation process. The many multiple services that this company offers. One has to do with the collection of paper and cardboard for their customers for recycling. So what does it do, this company? It has a series of containers which are compactors of paper and cardboard. Now, when customers, they give these containers to the customers, and when the customer fills their container, they ring and say, please come and collect it. Some customers don't ever ring. Some customers ring once it's actually full, and others say, hey, I need, you've got to come right now because it's overflowing. So what have we done? In these containers, we've actually fitted sensors which tell us how full they are. They also measure other types of parameters, for example, temperature, humidity, and the degree of tilt of this container, which is a self-compactor of paper and cardboard. So in fact, the customers no longer need to ring because they know exactly which containers they have to go and collect. And with all the information that this company now receives, which is in the Dimension Data and NTT cloud, what they can do is model so that they can know how these customers fill up their containers according to season. So they're optimizing the routes that they use to go and collect the containers. So we have deployed an Internet of Things solution. We have given the containers connectivity connectivity, we store all the information which are provided by those sensors in the Dimension data cloud, and there are big data solutions and applications which enable us to model the behavior of customers and how they fill these containers. This information is available in real time from any type of platform, a mobile phone, a tablet, smartphone, etc., and always securely. Therefore, to conclude, and I just have 4 seconds in which I need to conclude, we can say that in Dimension data we're using Internet of Things, cloud and big data solutions in order to provide information from data. Data are the heart of digital transformation of industry because they give us an unimaginable degree of visibility of our manufacturing processes, a degree of visibility that we didn't have before. They will enable us to carry out predictive manufacturing processes. And in this type of environment, security and physical security has always been very important, also physical safety, but now we have logical safety and security, which are very important as well. And this needs to be taken into account. We have to think about security policies, and we have to do that by design and by default. And just to go on to my very last slide, we have a slogan at Dimension Data. It says, if you think you can do something, then we're here to help you do it. And that's what I just said. It's up in Basque on the screen. And thank you all very much. I'd like to leave you with that final thought.